Hey guys, Martijn here, VMworld TV 2018 in Barcelona. And I'm deep in the middle of my series on the community, the V community, the VMware community. And I'm interviewing a lot of cool guys. And speaking of cool guys, I've got Ather Beg here. Ather, introduce yourself. Who are you? What do you do?
Well, I'm Ather Beg. I work as a solutions architect at VExperts Limited. So I'm in their enterprise solutions architecture team.
Okay. And how did you first get in contact with the V community, as we lovingly call it?
That's a good question. I started blogging a while ago. It's almost a decade ago. So I was quietly blogging away, and then I joined Extrovert. And over there I met Darren Woolard, affectionately known as Grandpa by Greg Robertson, as you might remember. So he's a great guy, and he basically told me about, say, vExpert, and he said, why don't you apply for that? You blog a lot and help other people out. Mm-hmm. That would be a good thing to get involved into. And that's how I started. But prior to that, I mean, if you're talking community in terms of VMware communities, I've been involved in that since year dot. I still remember the days when London VMUG or user groups were actually held in the main office in Camberley. So not separate things at all, run by VMware itself. So I've been involved for a very long time for that reason.
And if you were to describe the V community in a small sentence on what kinds of benefits did you get out of it, what kind of help, what kind of people are in there, how would you describe it?
Immense help in every respect, professionally, personally even. And I say that with there's no word of a lie of it. V community is the best out there, the one that we have for VMware, because it's not only everyone wants to help each other out, right? And it doesn't matter. Some people who are bigger names right now, they also started with the V community and started growing. Everyone helps each other get to a new level in their professional life. But also if there is something going on in their personal lives, they would actually still talk to you, keep in touch, keep motivating you. It happened to me personally even. And like I said, I just love the community for that reason. So it's not just professional or technical, it's more to do with just being a friend, really.
Right. So that's a very good observation that you just made, statement that you just made, that they helped you on a personal level. Without going into much specifics, could you describe how that went? Did you guys became friends with a couple of members of the V community, and then you just started supporting, or how did that go about?
Yes, so for example, I just mentioned the Darren thing. He asked me to apply for vExperts, so that's how years ago I became vExpert because of that. But also my recent job, Alex Galbraith, he's a good friend for a very long time, and he actually asked me, said, why don't you join Rackspace? I said, yeah, why not? I should do that. But also last year and the past couple of years have been quite tough family-wise for various reasons. And again, people from the community actually knew that, and every time I was at UK VMUG, talking to anyone, they would come over and say, how you're doing, all of those things. And that sort of helped quite a lot as well.
So it's not only supportive in a technical way if you got an issue, but they also support you as a human being. So it's like a big happy family. That's is that a correct description?
That's perfect. I think you've actually summed it up very perfectly. We should call it V family, V community, but also V family. That wouldn't be out of place, really. I think it's a good way of putting it.
Okay, so you started out in the community with your blogs that you mentioned. What types of blogs did you create, and what kind of challenges were you looking to solve with those articles?
In the beginning, because like I said, a decade ago pretty much, it was very little information existed on blog sites about, say, for example, ESX install. Mm-hmm. Right, and ESX I say because in those days ESX was a thing instead of ESXi, remember? So all those installation methods, for example, so I had multi-part posts on that, things that were for configuration, So it was more like those kind of blogs which I started doing, but also on the Windows side. So it's a mix of problems that I found that if I share the solutions too, people will find it useful. And then it gradually became whatever I find technically, but sometimes strategically important. I just blog about that. And recently more when I've become official blogger for VMware at VMworld events, then it's announcements as well. So it's a mixed bag.
Yeah. So it's a combination of you starting to consume the blog space, if I can call it that, and then gradually contributing to it. So that's a really good way to get started. Do you have any other advice for people that look to get started inside the VM community on how to be a part of it?
Exactly. So blogging is a great mechanism of doing it. I think the best way of doing it for me was that, like I said, any problem that you find when you're resolving it, take notes at the side, take screenshots, and that actually automatically becomes a blog post, right? And you don't have to be very accurate, as long as it's conveying the message, it's not too wordy, and it becomes a great blog post to start with. But then you can gradually, get into things like, community sessions, UK VMUG, any VMUG. Your regional VMUG is a great place. You go and exchange ideas. That gives you more material to talk about, write about. You can go into podcasting. I am part of the OpenCast team as well, the Open TechCast team. I do other podcasts as well, become guest on some of them. So basically you're sharing knowledge, and that's what it's all about, I think. Sharing knowledge, helping each other out, and that's all the V community is all about. Okay.
Let's change the topic a little bit. I see a lovely ribbon with the vExpert on your badge. How long have you been a vExpert, and what did you get from the vExpert community?
Well, I think it's my 7th year starting now, and fortunately, on the back of that, I'm also a VMware vExpert Cloud and NSX. Actually, I was this first batch, was part of that as well, still am. So it then builds up. So the benefits that you get are more, okay, some people, licenses is a huge benefit as well, right? So you get, as part of being vExpert, a bunch of licenses that you can use in your home lab. Or those kind of things. But again, one of those things that you become part of that community. vExpert NSX is a great community to be part of as well. I'm doing an NSX roving reporter thing, as you know. That only came about because I'm participating in that program. So you get to know further things than normally you would know. You'll be part of briefings. So it's always good to know beforehand what's coming, and then you can blog about it in a more informative fashion and actually help your business. Because there are lots of ideas that you can actually exchange between a small focus group of people within the community.
So I heard something really interesting inside that last bit. NSX roving reporting. What is that, and what do you do?
It's basically similar things to what you're doing right now.
So you're stealing my job?
I hope I could do that because you are in a very good place. But no, it's your job is safe. I'm just a learner, beginner in that. I'll be holding a mic like you are right now, yes, and I'll just be interviewing the NSX mainly, but other people from the community as well, talking about why they're here, what their goals are, something about networking and security, what their thoughts are of the upcoming things, new announcements, for example, or new functions that NSX is bringing now. So I'll be, just getting to people and just talk about that quickly.
And where can people find that if they want to look at it?
It's basically on Wednesday is when I'm doing the session. On Tuesday is Hugh Piscar who's doing the sessions. Basically just, if anyone is watching, they should come to the VMTN, VMware Code orange booth. It's just next to it. That's where we'll be holding those interviews.
All right, excellent. And I'm guessing they're going to be on YouTube afterwards?
I hope so, yes. Yeah, and that's what normally happens. All of these interviews go on YouTube as and a sector reporter.
We'll make sure that we post the link underneath the video so people can check it out.
That'd be great. Thank you.
So before we head this one off, any last thoughts?
Going back to the V community thing, I think people find that applying for vExpert, if you're it's difficult, you know, they won't get through. It's about contribution to the community, and there's nothing wrong with, however little people think that, you know, whatever they're contributing is not significant. That's not right. Whatever you found as a problem or as a thing that you found useful that you can share actually helps a lot of people, and there are a lot of people on the internet. So you never know. I get hits for things I've written years ago, and they're still getting hit because people want solutions, right? And if you help someone out because of your experience, then what better way to do it?
Yeah. And that's again a very good advice from a community member. Ather, thank you very much, and good luck with your roving reporter gig.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.